The most common reason I hear from people who are scared to sell without a real estate agent is number one, they're going to get sued. Or number two, they're going to leave a ton of money on the table because they don't know how to price. Or number three, they're going to cave because an aggressive agent or an aggressive buyer is going to come in and negotiate down against them. And I'm not saying all those three things aren't real fears. Of course they are. But they're fears that can be addressed.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Johnson, and today I'm speaking with Tim Street, who's been making some serious moves in the real estate investing education space. Tim, welcome in, man. Glad to have you.
Oh, Micah, thanks. It's a real honor to be here. I'm a big fan, and thanks for having me here, and thanks to the audience putting up with me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm excited for you to be here today. I think our listeners are really going to take something away from how you've approached real estate education, especially with the 12-year background that you have in the industry. It wasn't just like an idea you came up with one day. You were led to this point. So I think there's some really good things that our audience is going to be able to take away. So let's dive in. So for people who may not know you yet, what's your main focus right now and what markets are you operating in?
So I operate an educational company called Foolproof FSBO. For those that don't know, FSBO means for sale by owner. And as a real estate investor myself, this is something very near and dear to my heart because I know that every dollar I'm able to keep as a result of a liquidation out of a property, it's leveraged money that goes into the next investment. So this is something that I'm really, really trying to preach to my fellow investors out there, that it's not just necessarily about how much you sell for, it's about how much you're netting in that sale. That's really important. And that's what I'm here to help people with.
Oh man, I love that. So let's back up for a second. How did you get into real estate and kind of take us down the path of what led this to being such a passion for you?
So I was, you're going to laugh at this. I decided after all this time in corporate America, I was going to take the easy route and become a real estate investor because I heard it was passive. Yeah. So not the sharpest tool in the shed at that point, I don't think. So I went out and I did a lot of research, tried to find the right properties, and I'd get hooked up with these real estate agents who just, they ended up letting me down. And, they're not all that way. My wife's one of the best real estate agents I've ever met. One of my best friends is, and I mean, I still have a real estate license, but anyway, because of all that, I decided I was just going to do the job myself, get my own license and negotiate my own deals. And well, I'll tell you what a life hack that was. I got into that space and I loved it. And I ended up getting some great investment properties out of doing it myself. And so I also help people buy and sell their homes on their own. And in the process of doing that, I realized, shucks, there really isn't a lot of magic here. This is kind of just a sequence. And if people were just given this sequence, they could really do this on their own and save a lot of money.
I think that's interesting. My history in the real estate began as an agent as well. And you're right. There's some out there that are worth their weight in gold. They take the
Oh, yeah.
time to learn, understand, and really kind of go back to that word educate. And what you're saying lines up with what I hear from a lot of investors, taking that time to understand what's actually going on. What are all the pieces and parts? And a lot of folks understand the sweat equity part, do the tile, do the work, like go inside and do that physical work. But like you were mentioning, there's a lot of money traded in the actual transaction that kind of leaks its way out if you let it. So being able to capitalize on what could sometimes be 30, 40 grand worth of commissions going out the door, you're keeping those in house too. And you said this powerful in the pre-recording. Money to an investor is different than money to a retail seller, because our dollars are doing something very active later where it's not like a one-to-one, right? It's different. So dig into that a little bit for us and what you think is so powerful about what you're doing.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Sure. I mean, when I talk to people about saving, $20,000-$30,000 in commissions, to a retired couple like my parents, for example, maybe that means that they're able to go on a dream vacation, or maybe it's to my younger audience out there. Maybe it's they can send a kid to college. All of those are beautiful things. But when I talk to other investors like me, I know, and and probably 99.9% of the people listening in the audience right now knows that a dollar to us isn't a dollar. It's maybe 10, 20, $100 worth of buying power, because we understand leverage. And that's what makes the leakage all the more powerful. See, we will go through and we'll break our knuckles laying down tile. We'll get splinters in our hands for weeks, helping install a roof just to save a few bucks here and there. And that's why it's so mind boggling to me that we found ourselves the subject of this $1 billion psyop that my industry, the real estate industry, puts out, that convinces all of us that we're either too inept, or we're going to find ourselves in legal jeopardy if we try to sell on our own without a legal or an agent, or that we just don't know the subject matter well enough. Well, pardon me, but I can't think of anybody who's a greater subject matter expert on my property than me, because I've bled and sweat in that thing. So yes, this is one of those things where I got to get people over this limiting belief so that they can really benefit from the education here.
Dig into that limiting beliefs for a second. Which are the particular ones you think are holding people back?
The most common reason I hear from people who are scared to sell without a real estate agent is, number one, they're going to get sued, or number two, they're going to leave a ton of money on the table because they don't know how to price, or number three, they're going to cave because an aggressive agent or an aggressive buyer is going to come in and negotiate down against them. And I'm not saying all those three things aren't real fears. Of course they are, but they're fears that can be addressed. I mean, I don't know if you and I were getting on an airplane somewhere and we're getting on and the pilot says, "Oh, hey, Micah, don't worry about this. I watched a YouTube video yesterday. I'm going to get us there just fine." You and I are getting the heck off that plane, because, and I say the same thing to people who are trying to sell a home. Most people who sell without an agent fail. Well, of course they do, because they watch a couple YouTube videos, or they talk to their brother Larry, who was a broker back in the 70s looking like Ron Burgundy, and they think that they're going to be able to compete in 2026 with what we're doing today. But if we're able to give them a level set, a blueprint to follow, teach them how to stay out of legal jeopardy, teach them how the pros price, and gosh, they could do far. It's not just about doing as good as a real estate agent. It's about doing better, because you should.
Right. Right. And it's true. If it's just a regular retail buyer or seller, it's the largest transaction they deal with in a lifetime. And they only deal
Mhm.
with it, what's the average, 4 to 5 times in a lifetime, I think it
Yeah.
is, where it's not very often that they're handling it. And that's where education, it really does stand out, because those were fears I've heard before. And ones I've even heard agents use to convert a FSBO to a listing is that very thing. And I think it's so true that a little bit more education could lead them to a higher rate of success, because there is a large statistic that shows FSBOs convert to listings, but the ones that do, especially in my own experience of working with them, there was a serious lack of of education on their part, or they really had some issues where they needed a realtor. Well, you talk about address that for a second, because it's not every deal is simple enough for us to just do on our own, especially if you're not a professional. So if there are listeners out there thinking, maybe I do have one I could do or not, what do you recommend? What are the deals where it's like, okay, this would be a good one to try yourself, or this is one where you're going to want to seek out a professional?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Absolutely. Selling by yourself without an agent can, in some circumstances, be the dumbest thing, the most unprofitable thing you could ever imagine doing. Things like if there's a legal attachment to the house, maybe it's part of a judgment, maybe there's divorce going on, maybe it's probate, or maybe there's title issues. Whatever it is, anytime there's a legal issue involved in a house or an asset, write that commission check to that real estate agent and laugh all the way to the bank, because they just went through legal hell and back for you to even get that house sold. So never do that. Or if you're somebody who we have to have an honest conversation with who you are. Are you somebody who can emotionally detach and not crumble into a puddling, crying mess in the corner when somebody doesn't like your kitchen cabinets? Are you somebody who gets defensive when somebody suggests maybe you overprice the home? Are you somebody who just doesn't have the time to get back with people? Then by all means, that's why real estate agents exist. And that's why there's great ones out there, because they'll do all that work for you. And, when I was an agent with my wife, I see what she goes, we work our butts off to get these people a great outcome. So if this isn't a DIY thing, so much as I want you to imagine being, to put it in terms that we would understand, when I have a rehab project going on one of my properties, I can either hire a contractor or I can work with the subs directly. And that's the kind of guys I want us investors to think about. I prefer to work with the subs directly. I very rarely, in fact, I've never worked with a contractor unless it was an insurance job and I had to. But when I can, I always prefer to set up my own subs. Number one, I get to screen the quality of the work. I get to make sure that I know what they're doing, and it saves me a boatload of money. So when you're selling by owner, it's the same thing. You're subbing out the work. You're going to find a title company or real estate attorney to be on your legal team. You're going to work with a pro photographer. You're going to have a home inspector that does a pre-listing inspection. You're going to have all of these team players on your team working with you, so it doesn't become DIY. You're now just kind of the coach or the captain of the ship, right? And you're steering the ship.
Oh, I love that, because one thing it really shines is realtors, we don't do it alone when you're
Right.
doing it. You have a toolkit of people that are involved in the process. And you nailed it with a word earlier, I think really calms people down about a transaction, which it truly is a sequence. You don't just get a contract and go to close. That is
Mhm.
not how that works. There is a lot of steps in the in between, which is why it takes 45 days typically to get it done. There's a lot of little pieces that have to happen, and different people in different areas all really working at the same time to make sure that it does happen. So identifying that as a sequence, I think is super helpful, because at least you can now see where you are in it, right? If the closing's the goal, let's work backwards. Well, what happens right before we close? We're all signing documents. Well, what happens right there? Well, title company prepared all the documents, or lender did,
Right.
or real estate attorney did. And then,
Yep.
we got to clear the close from a lender. And like, we're just literally walking backwards through a process. And when you view it that way, it does relieve a lot of stress.
Sure, it's the old question: how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Right.
And if anybody saw the standard operating procedures that I had when I went through the process of listing and selling homes, it was 3 pages of Word doc check marks, and all those boxes had to be checked. Again, were any of them necessarily rocket science? No. I mean, again, this is not easy, but it's simple. It's kind of
Mm,
like running a marathon. Running a marathon is not easy, but it's simple. It's putting one foot in front of the other for 26.2 miles. And that's how I look at this. This is it's not an easy process. You're going to work doing it, but it is simple. If you can follow step A, step B, step C, the guy who's rebuilding transmission in his garage for fun can definitely do something like this.
right. Right. And I think that's important too. It is, you said it earlier. someone who's lived in their home a long time, they're the expert on their home. They do understand what's going on with it, where things are. I think it's great that you also said this is kind of ADHD, but that pre-inspection home, that
Oh,
pre-listing home inspection,
dude.
all those things that just can show them, hey, this is what's actually happening. Whether you're a retail investor or a retail buyer, seller, or an investor, you it's just the information that you get. Information is everything in this industry, from, like you were saying, pricing, negotiation, all the way on down the line. It's just knowing how to do what you're fixing to get into will set you up for success.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, Micah, and that's the thing. Like I know you've probably worn both the buyer agent hat and the listing agent hat, and
Mhm.
I know I have. And one of my favorite things to do as a buyer's agent when I was on the buyer's team is to do an inspection and beat that seller over the head with that phone book size listing report or inspection report, because I was saying, hey, we need to fix all this. Well,
Mhm.
now wearing my seller agent hat, I take that leverage away from the buyer's agent by doing a pre-listing inspection. It's such a ninja move, man. We're now, first of all,
Right.
we're doing a couple things. Number one,
Right.
yeah,
It
we're
really is.
yeah, and we're fixing everything before they even can beat us over the head with it. But B, we're presenting ourselves is so far head and shoulders above and beyond everybody else, because everybody else that buyer's going to talk to that day is going to say, my house is perfect. There's no issues. I do everything around here. You're not going to find anything wrong. Whereas you are going to say, listen, I'm not dumb enough to think that you're dumb enough to believe that 80 houses perfect. New builds have punch lists this long. So therefore, here's the reality of my home, warts and all. I welcome you to take a look at this thing with open eyes. And wow, that's going to just completely disarm the buyer, and it's going to help get you far above in credibility and market price for what anybody else is out there.
Absolutely. And like you said, you took their bullets away. The
Hmm.
inspection report's a large tool to get prices down. It is
Hmm.
probably the main one, if anything, of how
Yep.
to get that seller down. So when you cut their legs off before they can even take it, it may be what, a $500 inspection, but it could save you 10 grand, 20
Oh,
grand done well.
it's one of the best between them and professional photography. It's one of the best ROI investments you can make when you're selling a home, for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And that photography one too. A lot of folks don't think about that one. And the first walkthrough on your home is online. When you
Yes.
understand that's the first real walkthrough, then the pictures start to make sense, right? Uh, a lot of agents get started in markets where you just post a couple on your cell phone and it's sold quick. We are not in that kind of
Yeah.
market at all.
No.
Like if you're not doing it well, if you're not presenting your product well, which is ultimately what a seller is doing, I'm bringing a product to market, whether live or off, however that works for you. But that how you present it is everything. Because we talked about, one thing FSBOs run into is done wrong, they run into the deadly days on market issue,
Oh yeah.
where if it's listed incorrectly, the only thing people think when there's high days on market is what's wrong with it? What's
Yeah.
wrong with it? Why didn't
Yep.
it sell? Even if your house is perfect, even if you did
Mhm.
everything right, the cost of mispricing and overpricing is huge.
For sure. If I had one chance, if I had one chance to become profitable on an investment, and I could choose to either price high with room to negotiate down, or price low that I created emotional investment from my buyers, create a bidding war because now there's scarcity and urgency, and I watch the escalation clauses bid that home up. I'll strategically underprice every single day. As a matter of fact, when I was again back when I was actively representing homes, Liz and I were getting about 102.3 list to sold price ratio, which is a fancy way of saying we were getting above asking price on our listings for our clients. And the way we were doing it, and also by the way, we were selling them. Usually they're under contract in the first weekend that they hit the market. The rest of the space was taking about 80 days on average, and they were getting about 89% list to sold price ratio.
Mm.
Again, I'm not Superman. I'm no Warren Buffett. If I was, I'd be on a beach right now. The reality here is I just understand human psychology. I understand buyer psychology, and I understand that when you spike urgency and you get a lot of people interested in an asset, they start emotionally bidding, you're going to get far more than you asked for, and it's going to happen quicker.
It does, and it's almost opposite of what you think. And
Mhm,
if without a seller that's educated on that idea, that's where the emotions can get involved. Well, wait a second,
mhm.
it's worth more than this. I'd rather have room to come down. And it's like, I get what you're saying. And one thing I would always use a legal pad and I'd draw out this little diagram for them where the day we list, there's a huge pond of people that have this house saved. They are
Mhm.
looking for this very thing. You miss them. Now we got only people coming into the market after. They've already discounted your house. They already don't care. You missed in that first moment when you had the most buyers looking at one time.
I
And
love that you
it's
told them that. I love that. Do you know how many people miss that, Micah? Like how many agents I've heard their presentations, and so many people miss it. And it's almost, I call it malpractice, if I'm being honest
right.
about how you're not serving, you're not acting as a fiduciary. By comforting people with lies instead of disappointing them with truths, as I love to say, you are not acting as a fiduciary. You have to be brave enough to tell people the truth about where they are, the truth about the market that we're in. And it's becoming worse every day. I don't know if it's worse, I should say. Maybe that's a bad choice of words, but it's becoming more important every day that their first encounter with your home, like you said, that first walkthrough, it's immaculate. There's not a cat box in the corner and dirty laundry on the bed looking like a crime scene. These photos have to be amazing because whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is, they are just destroying our attention span. So if you're not getting my attention in about 0.7 seconds, man, my thumb is clicking right past your home before I even have the chance to learn that there's a 3-car garage or a nice irrigation system.
Right. I mean, those ones that look like a crime scene, those are investor favorites, but we're looking in a completely different way, right? Like,
Right? Yeah.
and reality is reveal the secret. If you're an investor looking on the MLS, you're targeting listings that have poor photos. You're
Mhm.
targeting listings that have new agents. That you are targeting this. I remember having a set on in my safe search. I wanted anything after 6 months. I wanted to know every house that crossed the 6-month days on market because now you got sellers who are upset. They just want this over after 6 months of showings and no never moving. And now you can
Yeah.
come in there and get it at a pinch just because you messed up on a few parts of the sequence. You
It's so
set
true.
yourself up to sell for way less and you did it out of the gate, right? I always tell people hope's not a strategy. Right?
That's
If
right.
hope is what you're using to do this, then you're going to have some issues here because it's just not. It's where the real world meets the book world. Like it's real estate looks like this on paper, and then it looks like this psychologically. And that's where I'm like you. I fell in love with the psychology of it. With this is home to people. This is where you live, laugh, eat, sleep, love, cry, all the things. Like everything takes place here. This is a unique asset to sell. And I've sold a lot of different things. This one in particular has so much psychology involved. And that's whether you're investing or retail, because as investors, you deal with that too. You deal with the seller typically going through a hard time, right? When you're buying houses at a discount, life isn't being nice to who you're buying
Yeah,
that house from,
that's
right?
true.
That some serious things have happened to him or them. And to show up one as a human armed with the truth to understand, hey, this is what's happening. This is what I can actually do. And if I do this, it'll solve your problem this way because this is the problem you actually have to solve. And that's why time and again, the best investors, the reviews they get, one of my favorite ones is when it's somebody that even they know how much money you're making off their house and they're still saying thank you. They're actually happy that you're
Yep,
getting a good investment because what you solved for them, it really doesn't have a dollar amount if it's done well. It
that's
doesn't
right.
have that, well, you're getting too much from me. No, I'm actually giving you your life back. You're
Yep.
getting relief from an issue that didn't just pop up, right? Like foreclosure is a heavy one that people invest in. But in Florida, it's 90 days before that lis pendens even gets filed. It's been probably 6 months since they knew something was going on, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't random. There were things happening all along the way that led to that particular thing, and dialing, connecting at that point, right? Where it's here's what's actually happening. And that's what's across the board for anybody selling real estate. There's a real situation involved, whether it's a happy one, right? Like your parents were selling, we're going to get that extra money to go on vacation, or my life is not okay right now. And I need what I can get out of this to move on with it, to just close this door and keep going.
I've been there. When I was a brand new dad, my daughter was born, and she's perfect today, but she was born with a birth defect, a spinal birth defect, and we were up in Detroit at the time, and I had just built a dream house, man. Let me tell you, Micah, this thing, we were in the middle of Mayberry. It was idyllic, and the poor girl, that was the most important thing in my life. It turns out the world's leading surgeon in the world that operated on her condition was out of Miami Children's. So that night, I got in the car, threw everything I had into it, and left my wife and the baby at home. I drove down to Florida, and I drove and found a place in Pompano Beach. We moved our whole life, and I took such a lot. I short sold the house, and I was so
Mm,
grateful. I was so grateful to be done with that house that I didn't care. At that point, when your baby girl's life is on the line, you don't give a damn about a penny or
mhm.
two. You don't give a damn about a million or two. All you could focus on, I'm speaking from experience here, is how can I get her where she needs to be to get fixed? And we did it. Best thing I ever did. Do you know how many times I've thought about the money I've lost in that house? Not once. Not once
No,
has that ever crossed my mind. So for those of you out there and again, we as investors, we get this really crappy. I get it from both angles. Heck, actually three angles. I'm a Republican real estate investor, real estate agent. Wow, I suck at all. People got all kinds of names for me, and so we get these bad raps. But the reality is none of you out there are doing. You're not doing inherently bad or evil things. If you were, you wouldn't be able to function. You wouldn't. There would
mhm,
be no market for you. You are. I lost my butt. Thank God for that investor who bailed me out of that with a short sale, because it would still be an albatross on my neck. Instead of worrying about getting my daughter better, I'd be sitting there worried about, oh, now I got to call the bank back. Now I got to do this. So
right.
yes, this is all just, and I know your audience probably doesn't need this pep talk, but every once in a while I do. And I need just to remind ourselves that we're performing a very, very valuable service out there. And there's a lot of people out there that tend to throw stones, that don't really know what we do. But I love
Mhm.
that you point that out, Micah, because it's not about getting, squeezing every penny out of a deal always. Sometimes just letting people move on with their life.
Letting them move on. And it's understanding, again, there's the real estate process and then the psychological process. That's where real estate is a relationship business.
Mhm.
100%. This is a people business. We just deal in the commodity of houses and land and things like that. But how you do that is a completely separate process to how you convert, to how you have that conversation. Because if you don't do the front part well, you don't get that back end part. You don't actually get to the sale. You drive it away. So
Amen.
I think it's powerful information. Okay, so let's take a look at this year. What are you excited about for 2026? What opportunities are ahead for you?
So I'm super excited to just grow this beautiful network I got. It's the one of the biggest things that I'm trying to overcome right now is the limiting beliefs we talked about earlier, and I'll tell you, it's not a very nimble ship that we're steering here in real estate. This real estate ship that we're steering it turns more like a freighter than a ski boat.
Mhm.
So when I bring in new ideas, and there's nothing new about selling by owner, but the idea that I'm bringing here is many people believed it was a purely DIY process, that they were going to have to learn how to run their title searches and learn how to get title insurance, and they're going to have to do all this. Whereas I'm saying, no, this is almost like a done with you process. We're going to hold
Gotcha.
your hand. Right. So we're gonna teach you. I'm gonna introduce you to all the people that I use as real estate agent. Because let me pull back the curtain a little bit here. As a real estate agent, I wasn't pulling title insurance policies. I wasn't doing channel title
Right?
search. I partnered with experts in that space. I had a legal team, a title company. Some of you might use a real estate attorney to do all that. When I was looking at the home and finding out what was wrong with it, I didn't become a building inspector. I didn't become a residential building. I hired a residential building inspector, the best guy I knew, who would take us through it and ensure that there were no surprises for the buyer when they did their due diligence. There'd be like no live wire sparking in the attic. And that's what I'm trying to teach people here is this isn't something you're going to have to do completely on your own. Not only
Mm.
are you going to have a team behind you helping you, but you're going to have us there as well. And that way, we get on every week. We do live coaching calls with all of our students, and we just take them through where they're in the process. If somebody's having concerns about an appraisal gap, we talk to them about that. If somebody's having concerns about how to fend off aggressive agents who are coming in, telling them that they're going to fail doing this other one, we teach them how to handle that. And so right now, this year that I'm most excited is I see such a huge opportunity for being able to convert people from a position of I've been told I can't do this to at least taking that first step and wondering, gee, can I do this? And is it
Yeah.
worth it? And no matter what the response is, whether you can or can't do it, I'm here to tell you the answer is yes, it's worth knowing.
Absolutely. There's nothing like knowing. There's nothing like education, which leads a little bit to what you've prepared. You said you had something for our guests that's pretty special that you're giving away in that education realm, right? So tell them a little bit about it.
I do. So, if anybody is interested, from an investor standpoint, if they want to check out a package I put together, I call it a power pack. It's my investors power pack, and I have it at my website. My website is foolprooffsbo.com. I try to make the process foolproof, and FSBO, for those who don't know, stands for sale by owner. It's an acronym. So, if you go to foolprooffsbo.com/investors, you're going to get my investor power pack there. And I put that together specifically because there's a lot of people who think that this is only for retail homeowners, mom and dads, selling a home. And it's not. This is such a huge tool for the investment community, and it needs to get out there because I believe that the investor community could be one of the biggest beneficiaries of understanding this process better. Even if you don't do this on your own, it makes you a dangerous customer because
Right.
now when your real estate agent tells you something and they say, "Hey, I think you should price 50 grand over market for room to negotiate down." You're immediately going to be like, "Okay, wrong guy. I'm moving to the next one." They've immediately
Right.
just it makes you a sharper consumer, if that makes sense.
It does. And again, that's everything. Going back to education, when you know what to expect, then you can deal
Mhm.
with it when it arrives. No one's going to take you by surprise. So I really appreciate you building that. All right, if we're going to make sure that we have those links in the show notes for you to be able to reach out and touch base with Tim. Tim, man, I really appreciate your time, your story, your perspective. Thanks for being with us today. I really love your mission, man, out there actually equipping people to be successful, whether that's investors or just retail buyers, because that's what we're all after in the end. We're just trying to be successful at whatever mission that we have, and giving people the information they need to pull that off. That's step one and one of the biggest steps, man. So thanks for doing that. I think we need more people out in the space doing it like you are. Pulling the wool back. Let people see the truth. Look at what's actually happening underneath all the marketing pizzazz that you see out there about what you think this is. So again, thanks again. So if you're tuning in and you got value from today's episode, please like this podcast, share it with those who you think would get benefit from it. Subscribe to us. We really appreciate you joining in. Tim, thanks again for being here, and we'll see y'all on the next episode.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.